You heard this before, Jason?
Outlaws to advocates, we speak the truth. Got a mic in our hand, yeah, we're breaking loose. From behind them bars to breaking glass roofs, we're telling our stories and dropping mad truth. Yo, it's George, Jesse, and Jeremy on the mic. 3 outlaws on a mission, man, it feels so right. We were doing hard time, now we're dropping rhymes. Turn the hustle into hope, redefining our prime. From the prison yard to podcast fame, taking back our power, no more shame. We used to win numbers, now we win names.
Bang! We're back for season 2. We took a break, took a month off or so. We did have one little interrupter episode there with Senator Annalisa Ortiz. But man, it's good to be back with you guys.
Yeah.
Really good to be back. Even with you, Jesse.
Yeah.
Still pretty good news, man.
What a surprise.
Pretty crazy
Even
sitting
happy
here.
to see me. What an oddity.
It's pretty crazy sitting here tonight and having Jason, who happens to be Jeremy's brother as well, and one of my oldest friends, man, going back to like 2005. You ever think we'd be sitting at a table doing a podcast talking about?
No.
So at 2005, if somebody would have asked you what you'd be doing in 2025 with George, what would your answer have been?
Oingo boingo.
And that's still potentially a possibility.
Yeah. See, most of in our circle, unfortunately, most of us know each other from prison yards, right? And Jason's like the friend that I did very little time with. I knew him from the street, and then I ran into him in Douglas, and again, it was back on the streets when we ran into each other, except when you started sending me obscene messages up in when I was on Graham Unit.
Well, I mean, you had it coming.
Yeah, I absolutely did.
Yeah.
I absolutely did.
Yeah.
So, hey, Aaron Yeager, what's up? Glad you're in the house. Aaron's our one fan that shows up pretty loyally, pretty regularly. So we appreciate you, Aaron. She's pretty cool for a therapist.
Aaron's awesome.
You know Aaron?
I do.
Awesome. You know Aaron, right?
I don't think so.
No.
Yeah, you met her at Joel's birthday party.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Sorry, Aaron.
Apologize to her, Jason.
I apologize.
So Jesse kind of had a good question there. Said 2005. What'd you think you'd be doing in 2025? Did you think recovery was an option for you back then?
No, so that's why this whole thing's kind of a trip because, you know, we sit here and, you know, knowing you guys for so long, my brother being here, and the moment is, it's like how far we came just to experience this moment, you know,
Yeah.
all the shit we went through.
Been a long
To
road.
just be here right now, right?
Yeah.
It's pretty trippy, you know. Yeah.
An absolute trip. Jesse says it all the time. He's like, just the fact that I'm not getting high right now or selling dope, that's a miracle. All the other stuff on top of it's just insanity.
Yeah.
Absolute insanity.
Yeah, I was listening to this podcast this morning, and the guy was saying, you know, life's going to be hard no matter what. It was hard when we were doing drugs. It was hard when we were in prison. It was hard when we were committing crime. But it's hard being sober. It's hard going to work. It's hard being responsible. It's hard getting up on time. You know, it's hard working out relationships. But we got to choose our heart.
Yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
I'd rather choose this hard and be able to go to Filiberto's at 2 a.m. and get a carne asada burrito if I want to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember we were leaving after a podcast one night, and Jesse and I get in the car. We were going to get a burrito. He's like, "Bro, how cool is it?"
Did Jesse pay?
I doubt it.
Jesse always pays.
Thank you, Jason.
Jesse always pays.
Thank you,
Well,
Always
Jason.
paid.
You haven't been around Jesse enough, bud.
Oh, really?
He's been ducking fades like you wouldn't believe it.
Dude,
Yeah.
listen, they're attacking me 2-on-1.
Do you
You know.
remember a few months ago we went to a screening for Joel's what was it called
Was it-
documentary?
Yeah.
Well, it was probably a good 4 or 5 months ago. To this day, if you ask Jesse to buy food, he's like, "Bro, you know, remember I bought you guys that Mexican food that day?"
Yeah. He brings it up every time.
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Oh,
George and Jeremy eat a lot. No, they want the appetizer. They want the dessert. You know, they want food to take home. You know,
Yeah. So hey,
they abuse it.
back on.
You know,
We're drug addicts.
You know what
Dude.
Jesse
We
abuses?
abuse everything.
Dolly Madison, Blueberry,
Yeah,
Bear
there,
Claws.
there was
Oh,
a
yeah,
time.
Yeah, we just had them packed up.
He's
every
not
time.
scared of a bear claw. That's
He's
for sure.
not.
He is not
He's
scared of a
not.
bear claw. So having you on here, me and you joke around a lot. We see each other at work.
Yeah.
We both work in Near Freedom. I've never really gotten the story of when, where, why, what your decision making was, and how living a life of recovery came around, because when I first started hearing about you in prison, and some kid comes up to me and Jason said something crazy to him to tell me, and I start laughing. I'm like, oh, Jason Shaw, man, that's awesome. He's like, well, I'm like, where'd you see him at? He's like, oh, CIP. I'm like, what yard they send him to? He's like, nah, man, he's here. He's picking up people in the car for New Freedom.
Yeah.
And well, shut the fuck up, dude. Oh yeah, no, he's driving for New Freedom.
Yeah, it's a trip, man. So basically, there was a point in time I was about 4 months of getting out of prison, and my stepdad died, and it was rough, at first hearing that, and then I went through this whole logical thinking of myself, and who I was and where I was at and what I've been doing, and it was discomforting for me to realize who I was and what I've been, and I went through this deep soul searching of myself. Excuse me.
No, it's all good, man. Getting on that path, talking about this stuff, it gets heavy.
Yeah, and it was really I went through like the sickness, man.
No.
Like, went through this like 3 week of, I mean, I couldn't eat nothing, I couldn't work out, I couldn't sleep.
When was this?
It was right after my stepdad died.
In what year though?
2019. 2019. Yeah, and I was like, well, I couldn't be there for one of the best men in my life.
No.
That hurt. Couldn't be there for my mom. But, she was probably going through some stuff. And then it's like, well, wait a minute, you're here because you've been a fuck up all your life, Then I went to this deep soul searching of, man, things I'd done, shame, guilt. The biggest one was to openly say out loud that I abandoned my children.
Yeah.
Because of my behavior, that was rough.
Absolutely.
And then I just went to this, that actually SSU came in and they were searching my the pod, and this SSU Mason, it was his name. He's always on me, listening to my phone calls and shit. And he looked at me, and I knew the way he looked at me. He said, "Hey, Shaw, you all right?" And I said, "Nah, I ain't fucking all right."
Yeah.
I said, "And if you really freaking care, you'll give me a phone call to my brother, like now." He's like, "Well, your brother's in prison." I'm like, "Well, yeah. You care? You ask? That's what I'm saying. Get down with it." And it happened, man. After that grueling sickness I went through, I talked to my brother on the phone. He just, gave me words of inspiration and said, "Man, you're gonna do this. You're gonna be all right." And I was full of fear, insecurities. I knew I had to basically change everything opposite I was. And I knew it was gonna be a big thing, and I was scared. And I had a lot on my plate, man. I had I had a kid while I was in prison. It's a long story, and so and he was 2, and I just knew that I didn't want to come back to prison again, and I relapse, I go to prison. That's the bottom line. That's what happens.
I think that's all 4 of us.
And I just knew that I had to do everything opposite of when I've gotten out before, and went to treatment, and
What kind of treatment did you go to?
it was a outpatient treatment called ALOX, which was very
Okay.
beneficial for me. It gave
Nice.
me my own time, my own place, my own setting, my own just place to transition to.
Yeah.
It was perfect for me. And I remember I was talking to him on the phone. No shit, he was saying on the phone was like, "Man, Jeremy, a lot of crazy shit." Right now, And he told me, you know, where I was at, and I said, well, I'm gonna take a CDL class, you know, and he's like, well, what other class they got there? They're like peer support, and he's like, well, when do you start the CDL class? I said tomorrow. He goes, well, this is what you're gonna do. You're gonna get out of CDL class. You're gonna go to peer support because it's gonna save your life. And I was like, what? Like, what is peer support?
What is that shit?
Yeah, yeah. And so I kind of argue with him about it. And he's like, no, this is what you're gonna do. But he's like, give me your word that you're gonna do that. And I said, all right, I'll do it. And I took peer support class, and I mean, the first day I was in there, I was like, well, what is this all about? And she's like, well, you just all you do is you share your experience, strength, and hope, your story to another addict. And I'm like, fuck, I can do that, right? Oh man, so I did that, and then I got my peer support certification, and didn't really have an idea of where I was going with it, and I put in my resume Indeed, and I got hired by New Freedom 4 years ago. Yeah, been there ever since.
Been there ever since, right?
Yeah, trip, man. What's guided me through that, man, is being around people who've had the patience with me, because you know, that's just part of who I am. And they gave me a chance, man, and I went. I've been there ever since, and you know, I probably would not be sober today if I wouldn't have done that, because once you surround yourself around people that are sober and who actually care about you and not asking for nothing in return, it was a pretty cool experience that I never felt before.
Life changing.
Yeah, yeah. Even you know, I've had a hard. I don't really get along with men, man. To be honest with you, I've always something, you know. And I surrounded myself around a fellowship, and I started listening. I just came to a point in my life that I was willing to take suggestions and ideas from other men that were just speaking the truth.
No.
And what caught my eye on that is because I've been deprived of the truth for so fucking long. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Truth's not welcome.
yeah,
here.
like, and I'm hard headed, man. And it's like, you got to show me, you know. My recovery's been a slow process, to be honest, you know, because I'm so hard headed. But, you know, I surround myself, and it's like, when I sit there and I finally was like, all right, I'm gonna listen to this dude, and you know, and this dude, some of these you know how they say some people, they talk, it catches you,
Yeah.
you know, and then some things were catching on, and I was getting catchy to it, and I was like, wow, I didn't have to judge, you know, I didn't have to say, oh, this motherfucker's full of shit,
No.
and then you start judging and start fucking, you know,
That's the easy way, right?
Yeah,
You judge
yeah,
it and say
yeah.
they're full of shit.
yeah. And I that was the first time I didn't have to feel that way.
No.
I'm like, this dude is speaking truth, man, you know. And I was like, man, I want some of that, you know.
It's cool because I get to see you pretty often at work, right? And
Yeah.
knowing where we came from and all the things we did and stuff we stole and all that other, you know, the way we lived back then, and then just to see how everybody's attracted to you, right? Everybody loves Jason. Everybody wants to say hi to Jason. The energy that you bring in there,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
cool, man.
Yeah,
People-
that's the
people,
other thing.
people used to run from us, right? I've literally seen a kid climb up 2 stories and hide out on the roof from you. That's a true story. And now people want to hang out
no,
with you,
and
man.
and that's the cool part, man. There's like, you know, and it doesn't happen a lot. It happens enough, right? To where, you know, a guy pulls up, hey, Jason, hey, I need to talk to you, man. It's like, what's up, man? And he's like, hey, man, I want to thank you, man, for everything that you said. And even the first day that you picked me up, he goes, I'll always remember you.
no.
And I was
It's cool
like,
to have
man,
that
that's
impact.
fucking pretty cool, man. You know, that's the juice, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why the fuck we do it, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
just-
Didn't you? I remember you told me a story too. This is so great. You're like, I went to pick up this youngster down in Tucson, and when I pulled up to the gate, he wasn't there. So I went up. Here, you tell the story. 'cause
yeah,
you-
they said he took the bus. He took the bus. You know, they have the option to take the bus to the bus stop. And that option for them is they want to do it their way, right? And their way, you know, doesn't work out. So they told me what bus stop. So I went to the bus stop, picked this dude up, and he was just sitting there. Yeah. His box was on the ground. I just pulled up and said, "Hey, are you Eddie?" He said, "Yep." I went up and just snatched his box and doing this thing. He's like, "Hey, what's going on?" I said, "You're going to New Freedom, bud. Get in the car." And he's like, he was like, "But I was like, nah, dude, come on, we're going." And he's like, "Nah." I said, I grabbed him, I put him in the car, and he's just like looking at me when I walked by, and I'm like, "So what's up, man?" And he's like, "I don't think I want to go." I said, "No, you're going, bud. You know." And then next thing you know, that dude was
He's
like
killing it,
thanking me. Yeah.
So I got a story real quick. So the very last time I saw Jason before he turned himself in, he was at a hotel room the night before.
It was a red moon. It was a blood moon.
It was a blood moon, but I remember the
I
last
remember
thing,
that night.
the
at
last
Red
thing
Rock.
that he said to me. The last thing that he said to me was, "I'll see you on the yard, bro." And I said, "I ain't going to the yard." He says, "Yes, you fucking are. I'll see you there, bro."
Yeah.
And I can't remember that. And fast forward almost a decade, and he's working at New Freedom. The day I get out of prison, I show up at this meeting, and he happens to be there. It's his home group.
Yeah.
He
And
happens
he killed
to,
it.
He happens to fucking be there.
Yeah.
And it's like, what are the odds of that?
Yeah, you killed it too, man. I that was inspiring. Man, I couldn't believe you're out 2 days and you got up and you just killed it like that, dude.
He
It
would
was
practice
amazing.
with me on the bed over at Buckeye. He'd be like, "Do you think this sounds good?" I'd be like, "That sounds great." He'd start putting all
He
these
was
little
practicing.
No, but say,
No, we had meetings, man, together. Jesse and I spent a good, substantial amount of time talking about recovery every day after work. Man, it was a blessing to do time with him, and his impact on the community is incredible.
what's crazy even beyond that is Jason had been working in recovery, and when I got out, I was at like a fork in the road to where I knew that I was called to serve. I knew that I wanted to work in recovery, but part of me felt like I wouldn't be able to make enough money to survive. So I was like going back and forth, like, should I work in recovery? Should I go to the union? Should I work in recovery? Should I go to the union? And I remember, George and Jeremy both had a big part in helping guide me to just follow my heart and go into the recovery field. And Jason was actually one of the main people that advocated for me to get hired at New Freedom right out of prison.
Hey, me too.
Yeah.
Mm.
And
Both of you guys, yeah.
and thank God that you did,
Yeah.
because I've got the best job I've ever had.
Absolutely.
George, you have anything to say about that, George?
The one thing I have to say, man, and I can't stress this enough, how big of an impact you had on me. Like when I started getting those messages about Jason Shaw driving for New Freedom,
Yeah.
and I got early recovery. I didn't get into recovery to help anybody. I didn't get my peer support credential to help anybody. I got my peer support credential, so I had a stupid piece of paper I could hang on a wall and say, "Hey," I didn't know what the hell it was. I thought it'd be like
Yeah.
a counselor, like, "Oh, I'm a counselor. I got this license,"
No.
which is not what it is, obviously. And so I still had that kind of mindset, still real selfish. And anytime I started struggling, whether it was with making a stupid decision on the yard or with drug use, like, man, Jason Shaw's out there fucking doing it. That dude's
Yeah.
a maniac.
Mhm.
If Jason could do it, I can make it through, because this is
Yeah.
prison. This is easy. He's on the streets doing it. And that like drove me through my first probably 2 years when like the urges and triggers and the bad decisions were still like a habit. My
Yeah.
go-to was still shit. And now now I'm in a much healthier mind state, but then that's all I knew. So what kept me on that side and kept me not making good decisions, but definitely not leaning into bad decisions, was the success you were having out here
Yeah.
and being at, a huge facility. Everybody knows what it is, and being a driver and representing them and showing up every day and doing that. I'm like, and they're letting them drive a car.
Yeah. Got
They give
a
them
credit
keys?
card? Got
They
a
give
credit
them
card?
keys and a
Yeah,
credit
got a key.
card?
Yeah, let me jam on.
Yeah, man, you absolutely that would.
Yeah, but I earned that, right?
Yeah, that would
I earned
motivate
it.
me during those times. So
Yeah, sometimes I trip out about things like that.
You-
The trip is me, last night, 2 nights ago, I don't think I talked to Jeremy about it, but our dad was in the hospital, and we were he just got out of surgery, and he was just kind of medicated, but he was coherent and stuff, and I was just sitting there, realizing this process that I'm having. Like, here I am with my brother, and we're here supporting our dad in the hospital, which I had never done before.
no,
I was always getting high or, in prison or whatever, and I'm just sitting there looking at Jeremy, and I'm just like, wow, this is pretty cool.
Yeah.
You know?
Pretty awesome, man.
Yeah.
That's the gift of recovery, is to be able to be present.
Yeah.
You know, like when we were using, I know when I was using, you know, I was never present. You know, that's all my family wanted, was for me to be around, but I was too busy doing anything else but that.
Yeah. All about you. What I want, when I want it, how I want it, doing it my way, and nothing else is in tune with but yourself. You know, that self-centeredness that consumes you.
It's not even self-centeredness, because we don't care about ourselves either.
No.
It's just what's in that sack.
I don't know about you, but what I wanted, I got.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
I was getting whatever I wanted, I get
Yeah,
it. You
like
know,
feeding that addiction, and like literally nothing else matters. Like you kind of touched on, like I walked away from my kid, my baby.
Yeah.
Didn't even, like, looking back to that mindset, didn't even think twice about it. Like I was just on drugs, and that's all I gave a shit about, was getting more.
Yeah.
And now, like, I'm so grateful that I got him back in my life and have a healthy relationship, and get to go see him and visit every couple of months. And he's a fucking police officer of all things, which is insane.
Yeah.
Well, I can tell you the greatest gift that I've gotten out of this whole thing is that there's not a yard I don't hit in front of guys that I get to talk about. And some of them say, what's the greatest gift? I get to wake up and call him, and he's safe.
No.
He's happy. He's free. You know, I remember when, not to travel back too far, but yeah, being 12 or 13 and, always waiting for your brother to come home so you can play around and get picked on and punched and pushed. It's like the type of attention that I deserved.
Yeah.
Because I always ratted on you for smoking weed on the side of the house.
Yeah, all the time, man.
Yeah. But
when you can find it, he's some melon on your breath.
yeah. Hey, so, but when you're a kid and you sit and you look out that window and he just quit coming home one day. The greatest gift I have today is to be able to call him and experience life on life's terms, side by side,
Every day.
with a brother's love.
Every day. Every day.
Every day.
Yeah. Through some cool shit.
Through some really cool shit.
Yeah. And talk to him about whatever. And that's one of the other main things that I got to experience, man, is I'm my own worst critic, man, and I can get down on myself real quick, but I can remember a time where I just, you got this time and place where if you're in recovery, it's you got to do a fourth and fifth step, and you got to let it rip, man. You got to rip the cord on it and then say everything. And man, that was one. And before I did, I had a couple sponsors, but before I did, I always felt like before I do this, man, I'm gonna have to tell this motherfucker I'm gonna kill him if he fucking says anything, right? But I found a sponsor where I didn't have to feel like I had to do that, and I let it rip. And it, whatever your morals, or you did something against your morals or values, or you did something really shameful or guilty about, man, once you let it loose, man, and no matter what it is, like say say you fucking snitched or something, I don't know, and it's against your morals and values or whatever, but until you stop fading around it, and not accept it and talk about it with another man, and let it go, you're going to be in this weird phase of fraud.
Yeah.
And it's all about getting real with yourself.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because you're worth it. We're not all perfect. None of us are. I always tell these guys out of prison that, some of them are tripping out about whatever. And I just tell them, hey man, you gotta chill, dude. He's like, I don't think you understand. I go, I probably don't, but I can tell you this. Have you ever heard of a perfect convict? And they just look at me and they're like, and they smile, and they're like, no. I'm like, well, there it is there.
No. That's the truth.
yeah.
It's funny you bring up the snitching thing, right? I was at Safford.
I'm not saying. I'm just saying,
but
like,
listen, I was at Safford.
You don't have to tell everybody, George.
I was at
not.
Safford, and this captain, right? He calls me up there because his kid's scared to go on the yard.
yeah.
He's like, "Hey man, will you get him out here and get him on the yard?" I was like, "What's his deal?" He's like, "I don't know, man. He's just tripping." So I go in there and talk to him. I'm like, "What are you doing, dude?" He's sitting in a little timeout room.
What are you doing?
And he's all, "Bro, I've heard about prison and it's this." I'm like, "I promise you, bro, you're good. This is Camp Snoopy. Good yard, good people. Just come on the yard, dude." And he's like, "Man, I don't want to get hurt." I'm like, "No one's gonna hurt you, bro. You're good. Come on the yard." He's like, "All right, man." So we're walking out. Outside the yard office there's a gated area. It's probably about 10 steps from the yard office door to the gate. So I'm walking this kid out into the yard. We don't even get 3 steps. He's all, "I told on 3 people."
Yeah, dude.
And I'm like, "Dude,
Right on.
stop talking.
Yeah.
You'll be fine. Just go do your fucking time."
Yeah. it's- yeah,
And he
it's
did
just-
his time. And this was like literally my first time where I ever helped somebody without
Yeah.
expectation, without trying to backstab. Because usually we would have done some conniving shit, tricked him into something. And someone
Some
got hurt.
burpees on the basketball court.
Yeah, it would have been something, you
Yeah.
know? And 3 or 4 months later, he's a little short timer. He comes back. He's like, "Hey, man, thanks a lot for doing that for me and getting me through this. I appreciate you."
You gave him a building.
Yeah.
Yeah, you earned that, bud. Hey, right on. You earned that. Yeah.
I felt so good about this. That kid, his whole experience was literally in my hands. And I chose to help him. And that was like the first time I
That's
helped
the-
somebody.
That's the whole thing about all this, though.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I stuck everything in my fucking arm I could trying to feel
You know,
a tenth as good as the stuff we get to do now. It makes me
Yeah.
feel.
Yeah.
It's
and
incredible.
it's like when I got out, I felt like I had this much in a cup of love and empathy because of all the shit, you know. And until I started really working with other guys, recovery, talking about being, no matter what, help others,
Yep.
be kind, and that whole philosophy of you're angry, you choose to be angry, you choose to feel a certain way, you know. And it's like once I started doing that, you know, I started filling that cup up a little bit more and more, you know. Like the other day, a couple months ago, my son called me. He's 6, and he's like, "Hey, Dad," he's crying and shit, you know.
Oh, Becky and Mason say hi, by the
Oh
way.
yeah, shout out to Becky Mason.
They popped up in the chat. I forgot to tell you.
He called me and he was like, "Hey, Dad," and I said, "Why are you crying, bud?" And he's all, "I just want to say I love you." And I was like, I was messing with him. I was like, "Well, why do you love me?" And he was like, "'Cause you're my best friend."
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, and it was like kind of crazy because once he said it, do I deserve that?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
you do.
well, yeah, I do. But what I'm saying, I haven't heard that.
Yeah.
You know, I never heard that come from anyone. You're my best friend. Yeah, so I haven't. You know, so it's just stuff like that, man. That's pretty cool. You know,
No, it's phenomenal, man.
um,
So now you're an experienced recovery advocate. You've been doing this for a long time.
well,
You're on your journey.
I don't know about experience.
What's the best thing you got going on right now? Definitely fucking experienced.
Say that again.
What's the best thing you got going on right now?
Trying to find that peace and happiness. You know,
Right.
on my way.
Are you close?
I'm getting there, man.
Are you?
Because some things are, you know, my perception, if I learn instead of reacting right away, and I try to just kick back and logically think about it, it's making a lot of things work a lot better.
Who would have thunk
It's,
it?
yeah, like my reaction and response was everything for years. You know, especially you go to the joint. You know, it's you know, everybody's watching you. I used to call it the big show. You know,
Yeah, absolutely.
everybody's watching you and see what you do next, and whatever you do next is what happens after that, right? You know, so that reaction and response is kind of a survival technique, you know, and it's a perception of behavior you carry that, you know, for years.
Yeah.
It's hard to knock that off, along with the other things, I want to say probably, man, just being able to be there for my family, even though certain things that I'd like to go my way that you have no control over, again, like Jeremy said, being able to talk to him every day, no matter what it is, yeah, because we get sober, but we still got this up here that plays
No.
that plays tricks on us,
Absolutely.
and it's crazy because Jeremy will say something and I'm like, wait a minute, dude, remember last week you told me this, and I correct him, he's like, yeah, you're right, yeah, what am I tripping about?
No. It's easy to
It's-
say it. It's hard to
yeah.
practice it sometimes.
Yeah,
And I
it's-
think really like what it this breaks down to, dude, is like one of the most important, coolest things is that peer support in prison, peer support out here, it literally transforms lives. Because we've been able to use this approach not only within ourselves internally, but externally too, to literally create the environments we step into.
Absolutely.
And you know what, man? You know what was really one of the coolest things I've seen about your reentry is that you were so proud of Alox. You took me for a tour there, and you brought 8 roses, man. He was just handing them out to all the ladies there. It was the coolest
Yeah.
thing ever, man.
Yeah, man.
And then you got to speak in front of everybody, and
Yeah.
Oh,
it
it's like
was-
you've been back in prison too, huh?
what are you talking?
I heard you made it back on the yard.
Oh yeah, MRC. We
Yeah.
we went and talked
Yeah.
to, saw a couple cats on there.
Yeah, how was that?
Yeah, they're kind of standoffish, man.
Yeah, of course.
Uh,
No one's happy to see us. We're fucking peer support.
Yeah, kind of a couple dudes I seen kind of standoffish a little
we
bit.
wear
but-
their freedom really well, man.
yeah,
You're not ready for it. You ain't ready for it.
Yeah, I mean the conscious decision to be like, man, I'm done. I can't go to prison no more.
No.
I don't know if you want to call it self surrender or having that logical thinking of,
No.
okay, what the fuck do I got to do to snap out of this shit?
No. Everything that I didn't do
48 years old, what up, OG? Excuse me, sir. Like, what the fuck's going on here, man?
Yeah, that OG is kind of like a milestone in prison. You're like, oh fuck,
it's
I
really
turned the
fucking
corner.
happening, man. Fucking man.
Me and AWOL were filling up our weight bags out on the basketball court one day, and there was these 2 older cats, man. They were always walking the track, and they were like in their 70s. And as I'm filling up the bags, AWOL's just sitting there, and he's looking at me. And I look up at the old men. I'm like, hey, what's up, AWOL? What's up, Jeremy? And they're like, what's up, fellas? And they just kept walking, and AWOL looks at me and goes, you son of a bitch. like, yeah, that's us, bud.
Yeah.
That's us
No,
right there.
that's-
There we are.
that's-
There we are. Just walking the track, bro. No big deal.
That's the other thing, man. You go to I remember the first time I went to prison. I was just, prison was really what it was when everybody told you. I mean, I was scrapping the first couple of days in there, and after that settled, I just sat there and watched, how people acted and seeing how things were. And I remember these old cats, that were like, I remember they were old and they were on, I'm like, damn, I was thinking, man, I hope I don't end up like that,
Yeah.
And it's crazy because like 20 years later, I think I was at Cibola. And there was that cat in a wheelchair, dying with fluids pumping in his body. He can't move, dying a painful, hopeless, cold, hungry sickness, death.
No.
And he told me, he's like, man, Jason, you don't want to end up like this. That was a real eye opener for me,
That's powerful stuff.
In
man.
a wheelchair, he couldn't even go to the bathroom by himself, And that medical don't do shit,
Yeah.
But that was a real eye opener for me, man. Even that guy 30 years ago, and seeing him die in a wheelchair in prison. I just didn't want to be that guy.
Yeah.
That's another thing, Hey, Jason Shaw, yeah, boom, boom, he was cool. He went in prison, but he died in
Why
prison.
don't you go help him take a piss right now?
Yeah. Yeah.
You said something that really stood out to me, man. You said help others and be kind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Simple.
I'll tell you what, man.
It's not that
that
sim-
is
that's
the
not
recipe.
simple,
That is the
dude.
recipe, man.
No, it
It is the
It's
recipe.
not simple though, because I don't know how you say it, man. That's kind of like at first was a chore for me, man, because I'm not,
helpful
no, I'm
or kind.
I just wasn't that guy, man. You know.
Is it
I-
easier now?
Yeah.
Feel good?
Yeah. It not only feels good, but it takes care of this, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know. Yeah.
Jesse came through the Second Chance Center when I was working there, and he said this thing in a class, and it stuck with me ever since. I'm not going to go with the no shirt stuff. He said this stuff to me in a class. We were talking about public speaking and doing a thing and all this, and he was telling the group, because I did a pretty dark group, right? It wasn't dark intentionally. It was just dark subject. It was on victim impact and the way crime affects victims. So we spent a whole week talking about victims, which isn't a pleasant topic. And at the end, we do 3 minutes of something positive, whatever you want to talk about. And Jesse, in that, I don't remember what else he talked about, but in that speech, he said one of the most crazy things that we do when we're dead sober.
Oh yeah.
And we decide to stick that needle back into our arm or put that substance back into our bodies. And I never thought about that before, because a relapse doesn't
Self
happen.
sabotage.
It doesn't happen when you're using.
No, no.
It happens when you're obviously sober. It's in the name. It's
No,
relapse.
it happens when you think you're doing great, man. You got a job, you're doing good, you got cool shit, and you're like, man,
I earned this.
yeah, I think I'll get high one time. Wow, 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 right down the tube, you
And
know?
that's the scary. You
Like,
believe it.
Yeah.
You believe I've already done 10 years in prison for drugs. Oh yeah, I can just get high this one time, this Friday night. And then I'm doing another fucking 10 years in prison. And I was dead sober when I had these thoughts. Well, California sober, I was drinking.
Yeah. So like, I don't know, it was a couple months ago. I ran into this guy, you know, and you know, recovery's a trip, man, because I paid this dude back, man. That I literally, when I seen him, I thought so many things I wanted to do to this cat, you know, and I seen him, and I just went up and told him that, hey, man, I apologize, you know, that for, you know, things that I thought about doing to you, you know. And he was like, well, because his eyes were like that, you know. And he put out his hand. He said, man, I apologize too. And I was just like, wow. You know, it just cleared that.
Yep.
That instant. You know, I mean, I think if I wasn't in recovery and I wasn't doing what I was supposed to be doing, that wouldn't happen. You know?
Well, absolutely.
Yeah.
You got to do this. Jesse talked about it before. I think it was before we came on, but about doing that work. Right?
Yeah.
You got
Well, it's in the mind.
Yeah.
You know? It's
absolutely.
it's
That's-
putting steps and certain things in your mind too.
You got to build those new habits, those new thought patterns, and all that other stuff that I used to hate to hear in classes. But it all works, because when you get into those moments,
Yeah.
there's the saying. I think I've said it on here before. If someone's got a cup of coffee in their hand,
Yeah.
someone bumps into them, spill the coffee. You ask the dude, "Hey, why'd you spill your coffee?" Well, so and so bumped into me. It's not why you spilled it. You spilled it because that's what's in your cup.
Yeah.
And whenever you get rattled in those kind of moments, whatever you got in that cup, that's what's going to come out.
Yeah.
You know, so we have to keep filling. I know I have to keep filling my cup with the good stuff, because when I get in those shitty ass moments, hopefully that's what's in my cup and that's what comes out.
Yeah.
You know, so
And that's what recovery is all about. You know, learning to deal with life without substance. It's not about stopping. Stopping's the beginning, not the end.
yeah, it's the very beginning, right?
Yeah, I told these guys today like how long I've been sober, but then I told them how long that being out here is the longest I've been sober in society. This last 3 years since I was 15 years old. That's when they clap their hands,
Yeah,
right? Because it's so much different out here.
yeah,
The design and structure of recovery, when we have our pockets of recovery, it's easy to rely on each other's strength. But out here, who you are in the dark, in those moments where, and you to pull yourself through life's struggles out here, dude, is a big achievement for all of us. Because my abnormal reaction to life, I'm pretty sure you're all similar, is an easy trip to the county jail.
You got to self-destruct.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a real thing. Drug addiction follows with mental illness, man. People
Yeah.
don't want to, accept that, or,
Yeah.
pride and ego getting in the way. If you realizing you might have some mental illness, it's a real thing. And, being able to get through that, being sober and maybe fighting mental illness, hey man, you got something,
Yeah.
So it's you should commend yourself about that because a lot of people can't make it through it.
No,
You know,
it's true. And like Jesse said about stopping is just the beginning. I was just talking to a guy yesterday, and he's like, "Yeah, well, so I out of detox. He's in a 30-day res now." And he's like, "Yeah, man, it's just it's hard." I'm like, "Bro, it hasn't even gotten hard yet."
Yeah.
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 It hasn't even got hard yet. We still got to deal with consequences.
Yeah.
You're probably going back to prison. All this
Yeah.
other stuff you got going on.
and
Um,
and that's something
that's the hard shit, man.
and
That's why I always like Colby's story about her riding her bike in the
Yeah.
rain with the
Yeah.
flat tire.
No,
On her
Absolutely.
way back to the halfway house, happy as could be.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so cool. It's so cool, man.
I get sometimes you wish you could just cruise through a straight line, but that's not how it is, man.
No.
It's like
Yeah.
you're up, you're down,
Dude, and if
So-
you think about it, you know how boring life would be if everything just fucking worked out.
Yeah, that's
it
how-
really would. It would be
Yeah.
so boring.
Yeah.
So you
I
gotta-
even find myself at times just if things are getting too I bump up the pressure on myself and extend myself to find out who I am under the strength of a struggle out here.
no.
I'm riding out on top, man. I'm sober, but you're right. Some of these situations have been really hard.
No.
They've been really hard, and you're right, man. You're so right, Jason. If you can get over these things, knowing that you struggle with mental health, you are a freaking warrior.
No.
Yeah.
You are. A
You know,
warrior.
it's I know I know how hard it is to be able just to take care of yourself, It's I don't know, it's a monumental thing, man, because and if you're doing that, man, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm proud of you.
No,
'Cause
absolutely.
I know how hard it is.
Yeah.
For all of us here, man. I like to do a shout out to all the people that
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting community, man, that we have to support, and we get to do that with podcasts like this, and we get to
can't get it out of my throat. Shit.
you'll be all right.
To people who just love me for who I am, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
That I know it ain't easy sometimes, I appreciate the people that are in my lives that, I might be territorial a little bit about certain things, it's just because I got the people in my life, I got big love for them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Um,
Yeah, just so you know, like I like Jesse, but I love you, dude.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Jesse, I'll tell you a cool story about Jesse, man.
Uh-oh.
We were on the
Uh-oh.
we were on the streets and my son died. My son died of SIDS, and it was one of the worst emotional pains I ever felt in my life. And I remember me and Becky, we weren't really talking to anybody, and I think it was like the second day that he died, and we had a camera, and Jesse was knocking on the door, and I looked at Becky like, are you okay? And she's like, yeah. So we let Jesse in, and he just showed up. Like, he's like, look, man, I can't imagine what you guys are going through. But here's what's up, man. I'm here for you. And whatever you need, I got you. I'll never forget that.
Pretty cool, man.
Yeah.
That's in addiction, right?
In addiction.
In
In
addiction.
active addiction.
Yeah.
Like, I was just like, wow.
No.
So I appreciate you for that, man.
Thank you.
Yeah. I don't know.
That was a much better story that you told that I was expecting when you talked about telling a story about Jesse.
Yeah. Was not. Yeah.
Jesse was a freaking character, man. I'll tell you that. He was funny.
Yeah, we're definitely sorry for your loss. I remember when you went through that too. It's just,
Yeah, that was I've been through some shit, man, but that was one of the worst things that I mean, the first instant emotion, it felt like like somebody just hit me in the gut with a sledgehammer, man. You know?
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
So as we start wrapping up here, right, we have a message we get out to the community. We try to talk to people, show them that change is possible. If us four maniacs are sitting here at this table, like literally anybody can change, right? It's not just,
Oh, yeah.
not just me and you or Jesse or Jeremy.
Well, the
Right,
main
we're all
thing,
here.
the main thing, you cannot do this alone.
You can't.
No, look, man, you can knuckle it all you want, man. You can be hard headed as you want. You can be, prideful, egotistical, and think you got this, man. But if you don't realize that you need to do this with help with other people, man, you more than likely you're gonna fail. You know.
Absolutely.
I couldn't agree with that more. I think having positive people in your life that are going to add value makes a world of difference when it comes to having a chance of surviving.
Just that it could be that one simple phone call. I pulled a prank on Jesse earlier today, and he failed totally.
He
Yeah.
did not fail.
He
He knew
failed.
immediately what was
Jerry,
going
What,
on.
failed.
happened? What,
Yeah. No,
what,
he-
what
he
happened?
knew
Figures. Tell me
What-
something
that's-
that doesn't shock me.
Dude, listen.
Let's hear it.
I told him, I said, I said, hey, Jesse. He said, what's up, man? I said, man, hey, check it out, dude. I'm at New Freedom. I'm out of gas. I don't have any money. I need you to get here with a gas can right now. It's yes or no. Can you do it or not? And he was like, please, and I hung up on him.
I hung up on him.
No,
there
I
was
hung up
plenty
on
of gas cans at work,
and,
he could have
and he
figured it
did
out.
not call back.
He didn't?
No.
Oh,
George, I called George right after that. I do the same thing.
Did George answer?
George was on his way. I told him to turn him. I told him to turn around. I was just kidding, dude. Yeah,
I brought the $5.99 gas can
yeah.
back
He
to
was
Circle
on,
K.
he was on it. I don't even think he had his car here. I think he was riding a bike.
The neighbor's bike.
Yeah,
I just
neighbor's
steal that
bike, yeah.
motherfucker.
Yeah. So we're wrapping up and what?
We're wrapping it up. So we can't do it alone.
No.
That's your final message.
Absolutely not, man. If you,
Thanks for pulling Jesse's covers too, man. I
yeah,
appreciate it.
nah, man. And it took me a while to realize that.
Yeah. That's a hard realization.
It certainly is because all my life I fought everything, and I had trust issues. Ego and pride. What another man's gonna help me? Yeah, but whatever, dude. Yeah, that's the whole trick of all this, man.
Absolutely. What about you, Jeremy? What's your message for tonight?
Well, just to be here and with you guys, I can't think of just with overwhelming gratitude. The biggest part of my reentry was relying on the strength of my brother, and him relying on the strength of me. Something that we never really got to experience. So, with that being said, I'm overwhelmed with gratitude. And when you guys got out, I'm brimmed, bud.
No.
Yeah,
I'm so thankful that I can call you, be vulnerable with you, remain accountable with you, and watch how my relationship with you mends other things that I have going on in my life because of your strength.
Mhm.
So I'm just really, really grateful.
Awesome, man. So gratitude. Don't do it alone.
I'm going to piggyback off something Jason said, man. Be kind and help others.
Yeah, it's a real
Be
thing.
kind and help others, man. I
Awesome,
think that's
man.
my message for today.
And then my final thought for me, it's don't quit.
Yeah.
Don't quit. It's
Yeah.
going to get really fucking
Yeah,
hard
it's-
and really fucking shitty, and it's going to suck really bad. But this side of it is just, it's so worth it to sit at a table with 4 or 3 of your really close friends and be able to do stuff like this, to go get a fucking burrito at 7:00 at night because you want to get up in the middle of the night and go get a glass of milk from your fridge
Help
because
your
you,
friend with a gas
because
can.
you can.
Yeah,
yeah.
Or turn them down.
Yeah, or turn 'em down.
Either way. Kelly, you got any final thoughts? Keep,
Right?
Prayer for everybody still suffering.
Yep. Kelly Barhyde says, keep praying for everybody who's still suffering. She's apparently our executive producer tonight, our EP. She's off camera. So. But thank you guys for tuning in. We miss you guys. Glad we're
Peace,
back.
love, happiness.
Welcome, Jason Shaw. Thanks for spending some time with us, buddy.
Yeah,
Good stuff.
Bye, guys.
how'd it go, man?
I thought you'd be great, bro.